on my recording. So whether it's new company website or a revamped logo, Mel has an innate ability to align with her clients' goals and through design and messaging, help them effectively engage their target audience. Canva is one of Mel's most trusted tools in every aspect of her work. Mel is who we contract with and count on at the Wilsonville Chamber of Commerce to keep our website, social media channels, and graphics fresh, creative, and effective. We are looking forward to learning lots today about Canva. And without further ado, I will turn it over to Mel. Mel.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Canva Crash Course. We have a lot to go over today in just a little bit of time. So it's my goal to kind of give you the functionalities, effects, and techniques that you need to get started and kind of give you the confidence to dive in and really get creative on your own. As you probably know by now, Canva is a free publishing and graphic design tool, which you can use to ideate, create, and publish graphics for social media, your website, your blog, and even on tools that aren't online, like PDFs and print collateral like posters, flyers, brochures. So really, it covers so much of what you may need in your business. And Canva is excellent at keeping up with the trends. They really listen to their users for different tools that are being requested, and it's updated often. So much so that I've been able to kind of phase out a lot of the other professional tools that I have used in the past, like Adobe Photoshop and, iMac, iMovie. It keeps everything in one place. So I just find that to be really useful, and everything is super intuitive and simple. So, why work harder, work smarter? That's what I say. That's what a lot of people say, I suppose. But with that being said, let's dive in. The first step is going to be to create your profile. So I'm going to share my screen. And once you reach canva.com, you can sign up. I'm just going to log into a free profile that I created for today. I'm going to use the free one because I know most of you are beginners, and this is where you'll get started. The free platform has so much, and it's a great place to start. So you'll see today some of the limitations that come up, but I do think it's a good way to get started. You'll really see how much you can do. I do want to point out off the bat this Learn tab, since we won't be able to get to everything today, and I'm going to start from the very beginning. This is a good place to go once you've had a chance to dive in and play around yourself, because playing around is really the best way to learn. This is a good backup resource with lots of things to watch and get to know. Also on this home screen that you see, you'll be able to access all of the designs that you've made in the past. I just have a few here because this is my free account, but you'll also be able to see your designs on this left-hand panel menu. So they'll be here, and they'll end up being in a very long scroll. You'll find that you make a lot of designs pretty quickly with the ease of this program. So I recommend off the bat to get your folders started. So in this left-hand menu again, go to folders, create a new folder. For today, I've created the Canva Crash Course folder, and I'll be adding any designs we make there as we go so that I'm not going to be shuffling through my designs later to find them. And also on this left-hand menu, you'll notice that there is the option to create teams. Canva is a good way to share projects with your team. We're not going to go into that a lot today, but it has so many resources for interacting with each other. You can leave comments, you can design in real time together, a lot like Google Docs, which is so helpful. And on this left-hand menu, we have the brand kit, which is a pro feature. So that's something to think about. If you do go pro, this is the first thing I would do because it will help you to keep your brand looking cohesive throughout. You can add your logo, your brand colors, your brand fonts. I know a lot of you may have spent a lot of money getting your branding done and getting your logos. And unless you kind of keep organized with all of that, then you won't be able to use it throughout your designs. So by using the same fonts and colors, you're really going to look more professional. So keep that in mind as you decide if you want to go with the Pro platform option. But all that being said, let's go back to the home page and get started on the fun part, which is creating your design. There are 4 ways to do that. You have this create a design button. This one I really only use if I have a project that I know the exact dimensions that I need, because I can come down to this custom size and type in my pixels or inches. I prefer to type in the search bar, because if I know I want to make something for Instagram, for example, I can type in Instagram and it comes up with all of the different dimensions that you might need for that platform. So it takes away the Googling and guessing that go along with all of the different proportions that each social media feed calls for, which I know most of you have probably found to be a pain in the past. So for example, an Instagram post is a different size than an Instagram reel, et cetera, et cetera. If you feel like you want inspiration right off the bat, you can go to this templates button and it will take you to visual examples of what you're looking for. So if you see something here that you like, they're kind of in different sections. You can just start with that and edit from there. The last way to start a new design, and something that I do very often is, and now I'm back on the homepage here, choosing one of your old designs. Oh, my internet's lagging. And copying it. So you just click the 3 buttons and click make a copy. This way you don't edit your old design. You still have that, but you can create from there and use all of the elements from your old design in case you want to have a cohesive look, but something a little bit different. Today, I will just start by searching Instagram again. And let's just start with a blank Instagram post, a common one. There we go. Okay, now that we're in, this is kind of the bread and butter of Canva. And I want to get to the fun stuff, but I do have to stress the idea of organization. The first thing I always do is title my design. So Canva Crash Course. Today is the 10th. That will keep me organized. I also like to add it right off the bat to that folder that we created, so that I know right where it is. The good thing about Canva is it saves as you go. So you can see up here, it will say all changes saved. As long as you're connected to the internet, you have nothing to worry about. So that sinking feeling of something quitting out and it being gone forever, hopefully won't happen to you here. I know that feeling all too well. So that's a really big perk. Another thing that you can do in this file menu up here, if you have the Pro version, is go back and look at the history of your design. So if you stayed up too late one night and you think, I think I went off the deep end with that design, I wish I could just go back to where I was 2 hours ago, you can go back and you can see it and you can revert to that without losing, the other version of what you've done, etc. So that's amazing. Another thing at the top bar here that you'll use a lot is the undo and redo buttons. I always like to tell people that shorthand for those is very helpful. So if you want to write down Control Z on your keyboard and Control Shift Z, it will really speed up the process. There's just a few shorthands that help a lot in Canva. So that is something that I would definitely start to practice. Control Z and Control Shift Z, I use them constantly. And when we're in here, you also can see the template. So if the blank page is starting to feel a little bit burdensome or a little scary once you get in here, you can still choose from the templates that you saw from the other sections. And they have them listed below. You can search just like before. So I'm going to just choose this one to get started. I like it. I don't know. And finally, before we get to the good stuff of the actual design, this area has a couple of things that you need to know, which is you can duplicate your page. So if you think you like this, but you want to test out a few things, I always end up duplicating instead of undo, undo, undo. And you can also add a page. And the good thing about this is that Canva kind of sticks within the color scheme that you've already begun, so that you don't have to make too many choices. Sometimes too many creative choices becomes a little bit sloppy. So it keeps you in the lines a little bit. And you'll see throughout this, Canva has a good way of doing that for new designers. It kind of nudges you in the right direction to keep things simple and nice. The next spot we're going to look is this left-hand menu. And this is where I think the fun stuff starts, where you can start to feel a little bit creative. There's different sections of elements here that you can use within your design. The first one is lines and shapes. They're super simple. So, go through and look. Since we're looking at this design and it's already got a circle, I'm going to stick with that shape, which is a good design point. Try to stick within what you already have. It will help you not to go too far off the deep end. So I'm going to use a circle, and you see that it kind of showed up in a similar color. Back to my elements, we have graphics, and this is an amazing library of art from Canva artists that you can choose from. There's gradients. These stickers are if you're going to export as a MP4 or a GIF. You can actually have movement, which is huge nowadays. A lot of the platforms are pushing out items that, content that is moving in videos. So it catches the eye and it actually gets more views. So learning how to do those types of MP4 videos on Canva is this is a good place to start, is with these stickers. But let's choose, let's search for something. So since we're kind of in a fall color palette, let's look at the fall graphics. There's so many to choose from. This one's calling to me a little bit. I like the sketchiness of it. So let's put that there. And then something to point out is that another way that Canva nudges you into making good and neat design choices is it shows you other graphics that are in a similar realm. So if you stick to those, you're more likely to come out with a clean design. So I don't know, let's add another one that see how they kind of go together. And you can adjust these by size. You can spin them around. There's so much you can do. You also, with a lot of the graphics, not all, but a lot, and with all of the shapes, you have the choice to edit the colors. So this up here is that option. And you'll notice that the photo colors are pulled. So those are choices. But since we have white up here, let's stick to white. We want to stick to our color palette, stick to the program. It will really help you in the end not feel like things are coming from left field. So let's make those white. And let's go back to our elements to see what else we can choose from. The next is photos, which is a lot of fun. And again, there's so many to choose from, but let's stick with our theme and go with fall today. And I don't know, I kind of like this image. So again, with the images, you can adjust, you can play, but you'll notice that it set itself right on top of my design, and you might want it behind. So the option up here is to change position, and you can move it backwards or forwards. If you want to move it all the way to the back, let me see here. You just keep going. It'll take you back as you go. So there's a photo that we can kind of work with. And next we have videos, which again, as I was talking about, is a great thing. Let's add this to a different page in case we want to play with it. And look, I already see kind of a fall inspired. So that kind of goes with our look, but there's many that you can search for. Back to our elements. We have audio. So if you are making a video, you can choose audio. Kind of brightens up your post, so keep that in mind. And if you're making a presentation, or a PDF. Charts are another great thing, and I think they're so easy to use. I think it's even easier than kind of like Microsoft documents and things like that. Let's kind of add a bar chart today. It just pops right up for you, and right here you can edit the inputs and it will adjust. So that's just so simple, something definitely to keep in mind depending on what you're doing. Now, all of these options aren't going to work for Instagram specifically, or it'll not work depending on how you export, but it's good to know that these are all options. And the one thing that I think I use all the time in this section is the frames. They basically are, it will change any images to be the shape of the frames that you see here. So all you need is one of these frames. I'm going to again stick with the circle and a photo that you've been working with, and you just drag it in and it drops right on in there. So now we have, and oops, I don't know why that's so big. Let's try that again. Because I had made it too small, it just kind of got a little wonky. So you see, you kind of play with things and it'll work itself out if you just keep playing. So with this, we move it in. Oh, that looks nice. I like that. So I want it to be to the back. So again, I'll go to position, backward, backward. Another thing to know with your photos and your graphics and your shapes, you can actually flip them. I use this quite a bit. So you can flip it horizontal, you can flip it vertical. Canva really makes everything adjustable and personalizable. I don't know if that's a word, but it really does give you a good way of just making everything feel like your own. So the final element that you have as a choice is the grids. They're essentially the same thing as the frames, but they're just a little bit more movable and adjustable. So if you put photos in there, for example, let's try these out. They look like they match a little bit. You can make them smaller this way. You can make them longer this way. It's really highly adjustable. So that's what grids are good for. It keeps photos organized because you can have, you know, several photos. You don't have to line them all up on your own. It will line them up for you. And see, since it's frame, I deleted the photos first and then delete that. Another great thing to know, and I know I'm talking quickly, so hopefully you can just absorb and get the idea. And once you're in here, it really is the idea of practicing and it'll work as you go. But say you want to move more than one element at a time. You click on one element, click Shift on your keyboard and click the other element. And then you can move those two together. If you know for sure, for example, that you love how these two look together, you can actually add them to a group, which is up in your top. And then no matter what you do, they're kind of connected and they move together. And you can always ungroup them if you change your mind, but it's kind of nice to not have to adjust over and over again if you know that that layout is working for you. So let's get these a little bit, that looks cute. And next we have text on this, or actually next we have uploads, which is another great feature. You can upload media that's on your desktop, or you can go ahead and I think something that makes Canva a little bit better than some other programs is that say you're on this staff page of the Wilsonville Chamber. So thanks again to the Chamber for hosting us today. And you love this picture of Kevin. You're like, I got to use this picture in my design. Sorry to embarrass you, Kevin. Now you can copy it and then paste it straight on to your design. And it's there, simple as that. Something to kind of keep in mind, if you do go pro, it's suggesting you remove the background. That is a feature that I love about Pro. It's really helped me to elevate my Canva designs, and it's something that I used to go off of Canva to Photoshop to do. But now I can do it right in Canva. So they listened about that. And it essentially will do this. So he's off the background. Now you can move him anywhere. An example of how I would use that is maybe I would get a frame. you know, to get rid of that funny bottom. Now he's in the circle and you can add him to the circle perfectly. So he's kind of part of that part of the design. So you could picture how you might be able to use that for a business if you have, you know, an about post or a congratulations post. Now you don't have the background, you know, he could be anywhere in the world, but you don't need to know that. It kind of makes it more professional. So that is something that you can get with Canva Pro. Something to think about, something I love. Let's go back to kind of where we were. So after that, so all of your uploads will stay here. You always have access to them. You can do images, video, and audio. And that's a great place to kind of keep those organized. There are a lot of great options for text as well. A lot of times you'll want to stick to just a couple fonts within each design. So usually adding a heading, let's say fall in love, cheesy, I know. And then a subheading, let's go with Wilsonville, since we're still working with the Wilsonville Chamber today. So you'll see, I think two fonts for beginner designers is a really good way to go because it will just make things look a little bit cleaner. But I don't like this black because we have a lot of white going on up here. So let's change that. You can select multiple at a time again by clicking one, clicking shift, and you can edit the fonts more than one section of font at a time. Let's go back to our white. And now already this looks pretty clean. You can make it left, middle, right, justified. You can also, something to keep in mind is look at letter spacing. This will really make a difference in elevating your designs a little bit, especially the feature, say we had 2 lines of text here, fall in love with Wilsonville now. It looks a little bit better when these are, you know, closer together. So just that little adjustment goes a really long way. So keep that in mind. I think this is something not to be forgotten about, the spacing. And I know that they have that in Microsoft documents and things like that. So hopefully you're a little bit familiar with how that works. And another fun thing about Canva is that they have, if you're feeling a little bit creatively stifled, layouts of font that's already created for you. So some of these are for pro only. You'll know if something's for pro only if it has this little crown, otherwise it will say free. But if you like something here, you know, you can try that out if you prefer. It'll kind of give you a good idea of where to start. You know, I kind of like this one. I think it's kind of pretty. So let's try that one out. Accidentally added 2. So see how it ended up on 2 lines? All I have to do is stretch out the box. Everything is pretty adjustable. So if you're feeling like something's not working, try to think what's the easiest way to fix it. And it's almost always that way with Canva. I love it for that. Let's go back. I like this. I like that text. Now you'll notice that it added these as a group. They're kind of connected the way that I had talked about up here, but I don't like how it looks exactly. I think this is too far from this. So I'm going to go ahead, click here and ungroup them. And you can move it up. This is when you'll kind of notice these amazing grid lines. Canva gives you a lot of clues, like I was saying. So it's suggesting that I kind of snap it here and snap this to line up perfectly with the F here. It gives you these ideas so that you don't have to eyeball things. So really pay attention to those and listen, and you'll end up with a nicer design, I think. Something recently that Canva added for text that is another thing I used to go to Photoshop for, but they listened and it's here and I'm very happy about it. It saves me so much time, are these effects, which are in this top text menu. There's so many to choose from, and it just kind of makes your design a little bit fancier, feel good. And usually these effects are a little bit trendy. So you'll kind of see, you know, hip Instagrams using this kind of effect, and they'll come and go out of style. So that's just something to pay attention to while you're on your news feeds, what's kind of coming in and out, and try to get ahead of those trends, but they'll end up showing up here. You know, this one, I think it was popular at the beginning of the year, and it's kind of now going out a little bit, this kind of glowy 3D effect. So I like that, that raises it a little bit. So let's stick with this effect. And this curved effect is amazing. Let's add another line of text to kind of use that curved effect. Swipe for more. And we'll go back to the effects and kind of make it that curved look. There's so much you can do with this, but it really does just give you so many options. So maybe, see, sometimes you have a hard time grabbing, but you'll get it. So that's starting to look good. For a swipe for more, maybe we want, so right now I'm picturing that we're on maybe an Instagram carousel. So the way to view how this would end up looking on Instagram, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but sometimes on Instagram, you can post more than one square and you can swipe for more. If you want to see what that's going to look like on your feed, you can click this button in the corner. Like right now we have 4 squares. So you can kind of see how it's going to go once you post it. So that's that grid view. Just because I'm having fun now, let's do an arrow. And this is a great opportunity to tell you that if you did want to make a video for your Instagram, that is something that you can do. Let's use a moving arrow to kind of draw people's attention. So let's put that there. That's a good start. So that kind of covers what you can do with your text. But what I will say is I don't like that I have 3 different fonts here. I always try to stick to 2 just to keep it good. So I like this font, and the best way to copy a font is by going up to more, clicking your roller, and now you've copied that font style and you can add it here. Of course, this is a little bit big, so we can make it smaller. I should have done this off the bat. You'll kind of learn as you go, and these things will happen, but in the end, it's all worth it. It's quite a bit easier. So to get back to my my arch, we'll show you again. It's effects, curve, and there you have it. Beautiful. And I just think it looks nicer to kind of keep it in that family. And while we're at it, if this is part of my Instagram grid, I think it's important to keep that part of my family as well. So let's copy and add it to that. It really does make a difference. Now they look like they belong together. You know, there's so much you can do. It's a lot of fun. And I get away from myself, but you can kind of see. I want that to be straight. There we go. How about that? You know, you can connect each. It'll just feel a little bit more cohesive. You know, maybe if this is part of your video, you can add a frame to it. Let's pick a fun one. I like this. It's kind of fall leaves. I want to bring this to the front. Let's add some circles because we want to bring our circle back through our design. And you can actually click copy paste. So Control C and Control V. It's as simple as that. Really, it's as simple as that. So we're going to move this to the back. The last thing that I really wanted to show you today before I talk your ear off, I hope we have time here, is organizing elements. So let's say we wanted to add a social media icon. If this was, say we were working with a PDF, we can add social media icons. The nice thing about this element is we can actually edit it so that it's the color of our design. So we have one for Facebook. Oops. Let's get one for, oh, how about we need Pinterest as well. So here's a similar Pinterest one, and I'm going to make it our color. Now, in order to make these the similar size, you see how it snaps kind of at the bottom, the Pinterest square and the Facebook square, that pink dotted line, it snaps too. So now if I pull this down, it snaps too as well, and they're the same size. Those grid lines are really something to pay attention to. I'm going to copy and paste this and pretend it's an Instagram just for the sake of time. Now, it would take me a lot of eyeballing to get these 3 items to be exactly the same distance apart, but Canva has a tool for that, so we don't have to worry about it. Again, to choose all of these items, you click anywhere on your screen, either outside of the box or inside of the box that there isn't an element, and drag, and it selects for you. So I've selected all 3 of these items by dragging my mouse. And then I'm going to click the position button, and I'm going to click tidy up. And do you see how it made them all perfectly aligned and I don't have to do any more work? I love that. So I'm going to actually now click them all together again, and I'm going to group them because I know that they're kind of in the perfect positions no matter where I put them. And I can resize that way. You can do this position. It's a lifesaver. If I wanted this video perfectly in the middle, oh, it already is. But if I was like, oh, this should maybe be right in the middle, I can hit position, center, and middle. And now I know that no matter if it crops in, this is right in the middle of my page. So that's something else to keep in mind. Now I'm just nitpicking because I like the colors like this more. Next with these, if you were working in a PDF, for example, you can link items. So in this case, I would want to add links to these icons, and there's a link button up here at the top. And all I would have to do, well, let's do Facebook because I know that one. And it would be facebook.com/Wilsonville Chamber. And now of course, this wouldn't work on Instagram, but if you're exporting it as a PDF, for example, that link will now work. Of course, this design is a little bit crude and there's a lot that we can work on and play with. But the final step is if we wanted it to be a video or an MP4, there is an option to animate our slides. And it's so simple, and it just takes your design up to a new level. It's this button on the top here that says animate. There's many to choose from, even more if you go to Pro. But as you can see, they kind of move for you. And it's a lot of fun. It will just catch the eye of your viewers. So again, I recommend sticking to one across all of your designs. That's generally the rule of thumb. Just stick to what you started and it'll look really cohesive. I'm going to add it to all of my pages. And we can download it by going to download in the upper right. And you'll see here, there are so many options for downloading. You can, another good thing about Canva, I'll say this a million times, I really do love the program. It tells you, you don't have to Google. So for example, if you don't know what kind of PDF, then it lets you know if you're gonna, print it on high quality, and you need it in high quality, this is the one to go with. If you want to have a small file, a JPEG, I would say PNG is the best if you're just looking for images. I would use that for all of your social media channels. It's my go-to. But if you wanted to just keep a small file just to share for now, a JPEG is great. But in this case, I think we would choose an MP4 video because we added all of this great movement to our pages. And you can actually select pages. So if you only wanted to download one, this is an option here. So I think that covers a lot. And I know that I talked really quickly, but I hope that it kind of got your creativity flowing a little bit. It really does come down to just getting comfortable and starting to play. You know, you might think this is a job, but I think getting into the mindset of playing around, as you kind of saw me get distracted every once in a while and just kind of want to mess around with things. It makes a big difference. And that's kind of how you will grow and learn Canva. I'm going to press play on this video that we created. I'm sure there's many things we could do to make it better, but just to give you an idea of what we've done in this time. And while I am, any questions that you have, feel free to put them in the chat for Zoom and we will go over them. So here's the final product.
That's awesome, Mel. Hey, we have a question. Is there an easy way to publish to social media? What do you recommend?
That is a good question. There are ways here that you can connect it to your accounts. And there's actually a, on the homepage, if it'll go back there for me, a content planner that you can use where it will help to publish for you. That's not something I've ever used, actually, the content planner, because there are so many options online. So let me know if you like it. But yeah, I think most importantly, when you export your design, that is an option at the top. So you'll have to connect your social media accounts in order to make that an easy option.
But with the one caveat that if you're posting to multiple different social media platforms, in all likelihood, the dimensions are probably different, correct? And the audience is a little bit different. So you may be just as simple starting with a Facebook image that you did a search for and then just grabbing that and putting that up yourself. Is that
I do tend to download, and I use a lot of times I'll use the Facebook program because it will post to Instagram and Facebook for me. Okay. But to your point, Kevin, if you do have the Pro Canva, this button in the top left is a really nice feature, resize. So while you can post a square that works best for Instagram on Facebook, and that's no problem, it is best to do the Facebook specific dimensions. So if you type in Facebook post, it will resize it for you. And it does a decent job. You'll definitely need to kind of edit around a little bit to make it perfect, but it's amazing. I mean, if you wanted to make, you know, your YouTube cover photo, it's on here as well. So it will help you to make each dimension for each social media the perfect one. And then I export mine separately and go through the process just because I like to be a little bit more in control. It does give you more control to do it yourself. But you're welcome to play around with these and post straight from Canva as well.
Okay. Another question Mike Bishop asks, can we use these for a PowerPoint as well?
There are presentations, and Canva has its own kind of presentation. I think there's one on here. Abilities. So going to try to find one to show you. Oops, I
So
don't know which one I clicked, but
is it true, Mel, that if you were, for example, presenting from your computer, as long as your computer was where you created the Canva program, you could actually create the whole presentation in Canva and show it, from Canva without ever feeling the need to actually go to PowerPoint, right?
that's right. So here we are, one that Canva actually created for us. And there's a little button in the top right corner that says present. And well, in this case, there are some paid for graphics. So you'd have to pay for those to move forward. But now I'm presenting straight from my screen the same way that you would from PowerPoint. So there's really no need to use PowerPoint. Again, another platform that you can pretty much phase out and keep everything in Canva if you want. So,
but if you had a design that you're working on, you could create it in Canva, and then in essence export it out as a PNG or a JPEG. Choose to import it into your PowerPoint, and then just duplicate that slide and work in PowerPoint if you're already more comfortable in PowerPoint, right?
definitely, if you create a look that you love here, but you've already got a PowerPoint that you want to move it into, it's a great way to just even create graphics to add anywhere. So,
okay. One of the things for everybody who is a Wilsonville Chamber member, Mel's mentioned a number of times pro features. So if you are interested as a member benefit to Wilsonville Chamber members, you can access our Chamber Pro account. You just need to send me an email. What we do ask is that you set up your own folder so it's not floating around there and it's easy for you to find your own documents or your own creations. So that's a nice benefit. And as we purchase graphics and elements, safe to say we have a pretty good library, Mel, right?
oh my God. Well, we have the pro library. So all of the graphics are available to us. And I just find this to be priceless, because otherwise you have to go to photo stock and make sure that it's legal to use things. Here, that's that peace of mind. If it's on Canva, I can use it and it's ready for me. So yeah, that pro library is huge. I've never run into a situation where I didn't find something that I liked. So
okay. Jesus has a question about pixels, Pixabay. Are they the same images from photos of Canva?
I've saying, are they this? Is it the same library? Is that the question?
I think that's the question. Yes.
I haven't run into noticing that. I do use those occasionally, but a lot less. So I don't know for sure, but I have not seen the same images. Like right off the bat, if I was typing in fall, it's not the same ones that pop up right away, as far
Okay.
as I've experienced.
Okay. Great question. Okay. When you look at using existing images, for example, other than the one that you showed, if somebody wants to start editing it, how do you tell if things are grouped, or if somebody did a fairly advanced and all of a sudden now you're like, oops, I can't seem to edit that? Are there some giveaway clues when you look at something as a design to kind of, so your first step was always make a copy, just like Excel or any other document, make a copy below, add the page, so that if you're working on something and it goes weird, you don't have to even go all the way back to revisions. You may start from scratch, right? But so how do we know what's linked, and if we're still, pretty much a neophyte in Canva?
So here, for example, you might get frustrated because you're like, why can't I move this strategy
Yes.
word? So that's kind of the giveaway. You can feel that they're connected.
Okay.
And
So that's basically a group. That's the only way really to do that, is so they are grouped, and you would
they're
just simply
grouped,
ungroup them.
and you would ungroup by going here, ungroup, and now you're able to move them around.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of another instance where you might be, I think you might be frustrated if there's something that's in front of or behind. So if you can't get something, then maybe changing its position is a good way.
Okay.
Another trick is, and this might happen to you. If, for example, you want every slide to have these links on every single slide, but you don't want to grab them every time you want to grab all the other stuff. You want them to stay exactly where they are. Click on that element, click on the more tab, and there is a lock button. Now this is unmovable until you unlock it. So every slide will have that, even if this is deleted,
Wow.
even if if I select this, it only selects the other items. So that's really convenient. And there's a chance that something might be locked and that could frustrate you. You'll see the little lock there, and then you can go to
Going back to Mike's question, when you're doing slides and stuff, and you always have a consistent, besides the look, but there may be a watermark or something else that you're trying to do low profile, then that automatically stays there every time you add a page, and you don't have to copy and paste and try to resize it or
yeah,
reposition
page
it.
numbers, if you want them to always be in the same spot, that's a good way to keep them there.
Okay, Jesus asks if I have elements and I want more elements as it, how can I find them? So I think the question is, how do you find similar kind of elements in the same family, maybe?
To find elements in general, yeah, you go to the left column and click here. If you have one element and you want to find something in the similar family, there is, I don't know why it's not popping up.
So because it's not Pro?
It might be because it's not Pro. There's usually like a little button here. Huh. There's usually a there is a way to do that, where you don't have to seek it out again. See, it's going back. Huh. I'm gonna, in our email at the end of this with the video, I'm gonna get back to you because I know there's a way to do that, but right now, for whatever reason, it's not showing up. Okay. So I'll make a note of that and make sure I include that with the video of this.
Wonderful. How about the PDF for print, crop marks, not crop marks? So if somebody is going to take something and they want to take it to their printer or submit it to their online printer.
That's a good question. You can do that from the beginning while you're designing by going to File, and you can choose any of these items: show ruler, show guidelines, show margin, and print bleed. This, for example, is print bleed, so you know not to design out of those lines. Oops. You know, this will help you to stay within margins, for example, but yeah, print bleed is a great one. And also, when you're taking something that you want to print to the printer, when you download, be sure to click print PDF because that's the highest quality. And if the printer asks for crop mark and bleed, click here, and it will export with that for you, so that it's kind of already set up and ready to go. It looks like exactly what they're asking for. And while I'm looking at these settings, something else that can be helpful to you is the option to download as a PNG. Let's say we didn't have this background and we wanted to put this on our website, but our website has that color background already or a different color background. When you download, choose to download as a PNG, and this transparent background option, which is again a pro feature, and I use it all the time. So the more I talk, the more I'm upselling you. I'm not Canva affiliated at all, but this will download it as a transparent background. So you'll only get these shapes and you can put them on any background color you want. This is especially helpful in web design and things along those lines.
Okay. And I think it's safe to say that most of the quality print shops and quality web folks are aware that, you know, Canva's there, it's a standard. So if you've created the design and there's something not quite working, how you're outputting it, they should be able to walk you through what kind of settings you need. So get a good, clean design as Mel suggested, and then your printer is going to tell you if they need crop marks or not. It's not like working in the old Microsoft Publisher days where they wanted to run away and didn't want to work with you. While Canva is, online and lots of people are using it, it's a professional tool, and most everybody is going to be comfortable as your suppliers for your web developer or your printer to actually use those files.
Mm-hmm.
No more fonts are packaged or not packaged. Are they embedded or not embedded? Oh, what a shame. Don't have to have any of those kind of conversations.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
All righty. I have a PDF file and I know that was made from Canva. Can I edit it in Canva?
If you know the person that created that PDF file, the best way to be able to then edit that in Canva would be to ask them to share their design with you. So this option is up at the top. Click share and then get a link. If they want you to be able to edit it, they can leave it as so. But if you were to, for example, just want to be able to share it with your client, but not want them to mess with it, you can just share, the watch or the view. Or you can have them use it as a template so they're not actually editing your exact version. So you keep that one safe, this is what I would recommend. It almost creates a copy for you to work on. And this is another great thing. If you don't want to download so many things to your computer and eat up your hard drive, you can just share the link to view with your coworkers that way, rather than downloading it and uploading it to an email. So that's a good thing to know as well.
Great. Lots of terrific tips. All righty. Do we have any other questions? We're coming up on our hard stop. Just perfectly timed out. Thanks, Mel. And again, as a background, have the recording available tomorrow and we will send out. We have one more message. Oh, this is great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is fun.
Yep. Again, thanks on behalf of the Wilsonville Chamber of Commerce to Mel Tarter for an awesome Canva crash. It was not a crash. There's no crash dummies here. It was lots of success, lots of great ideas, and we really appreciate you taking time to share your professional skills and talents, so we can while away and do some better designs. And Mel is not one to promote, so we will promote. We'll have her email address there if you would like to hire somebody to do it for you. We can't recommend her enough, and she's available. And in a world where we live on internet, whether you are in the United Kingdom or you're in Mexico today, it all works, right? Makes it really easy to do business. So between Zoom and Canva and the like, or Teams, if you prefer Teams. So thanks everybody again for tuning in. Thanks, Mel. We're going to call it a great event. We'll wave off. Much peace and prosperity, everybody. Take care. Thanks for attending today. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.